And we are back. You are chatting with John P. Today, we are going to be chatting about the future of watch shopping. Now, with DelReyWatch.com, by the way, we've got plenty of watches at DelReyWatch.com you can check out. Have to throw that out there. I've got a business background, right? And with DelReyWatch.com, I've been introduced and I've been working a lot with other people in the industry, other business leaders, executives, both primary and pre-owned. And I have to tell you, I'm seeing some serious evidence to some drastic changes that are going to be happening in the watch space. We're going to talk about it and how it might affect you. But first, I'd like to thank you for being back with me. If you're new, we talk about watches and related stuff. So please like and subscribe. Do hit the thumbs up button. It really does help me, and DelReyWatch.com. So running into it, these big changes that are going to be happening in the watch space. I personally think it's 3 to 5 years based on what's happened 3 to 5 years prior in this industry and some of the capital outlay I see some of the large players making in this industry. So first, we're going to break this down into two main topics, online and pre-owned. Let's just say, to completely foreshadow this video, that's where the world is going, online, pre-owned. So starting first, online. IWC, Panerai, Cartier, Richemont brands. Richemont is a holding company. They own these brands. They hold these brands. And what they do is they sell their watches now online. You can go to their website and you can purchase these watches directly from them with the warranty online without ever having to talk to an AD, boutique, or retailer. What this means for the consumer is now they get 100% guarantee and satisfaction directly from the manufacturer. Now, I don't know a lot about cars, but I think Mercedes kind of has a similar program, though it's in the back. You can order a car directly from the factory, and I think even drive it around Europe for some special program. And so it's not as widespread with what's going on now in other industries, though it does exist. So there is some evidence to support this being successful in other industries. And so, touching on this, we have Richemont, but don't forget, there's other holding companies, Kering and LVMH. LVMH has Tag Heuer. You can buy them directly on their website now, and Zenith has not yet gotten into that. I'm not sure why, but I think it's probably has to do with kind of the public perception that they give the brand, more of a walk into a boutique. A lot of Zeniths are also paired with ultra high manufacturer authorized dealers, so I don't think that they're willing to kind of stab those dealers in the side yet, but maybe sometime soon because they're owned by the same brand. And we have Kering Group. They own Ulysse Nardin and Girard-Perregaux. They also own Gucci. They sell Gucci directly to consumer online, but the two watch brands, GP and UN, have not done so, so I think they'll probably do it soon to keep up with the rest of their brands in their holdings. So this means a few things when sales go online for you, the consumer. Say goodbye to discounts. Now, if these brands start pulling out of authorized dealers, that's an issue for consumers, in my opinion, because getting the discounts will be almost impossible unless you buy them pre-owned, which we'll talk about later, or you buy them gray market, which I think could dry up. Where else are you going to get the discount? Authorized dealers give you the discount because you walk in and they need to make their numbers. They want to make a sale. They have to pay for their kids' college tuition or orthodontics or braces or any reason that they would need to make a sale. An authorized dealer, except for the large guys, of course. But when you buy directly from the brand, they need to retain that image, and they sell the idea of luxury, and there's no discounts in true luxury. So that's an issue right off the start, and we'll talk about that later and how that plays into what's going on with the pre-owned market. But first, I had to talk about that. They're all selling online. Everything's going online. It's the trend. Sure, there are guys out there, I know, because I've talked about similar things in the past. Yeah, we like to try things on. By the way, Rolex 16550 is still on the wrist. Hate me for it or love me for it. There's guys that like to try things on. I get it. I understand. And that is something interesting because the boutiques will probably still exist. Now, even if they pull and they close a lot of ADs that don't make the numbers, or they're doing things like giving discounts because they need to because there's cheaper places online. And by the way, it's an industry that's kind of harming itself by the way that they've been set up in the past. They'll still have the boutique. So you have a Rolex authorized dealer, but you have a Rolex boutique. And Rolex boutique is owned by Rolex usually. And the authorized dealer is just licensed to sell their products. So they'll likely still have those boutiques for that customer experience, to try them on, to know what they are, to be in the hottest areas, because they're more of destination places, malls are now, than going there to shop, get the food, bring the kids, the wife, see things, try it on, and then buy it online, right? So the boutiques will probably exist. Now, there's some brands like AP and others that have closed a lot of boutiques, and you see it as a trend. I won't get too into it, but to let it be known, there is a trend where if you don't make your numbers, the 80s close in the boutique stay in that area, and AP is a great example of that, and you can look that up. So moving into pre-owned. Now, this is the other thing that is drastically changing this industry. Now, I have DelRayWatch.com with my business partner, Federico, and we buy, sell, trade pre-owned watches. So personally, myself, I'm talking to a lot of business leaders and other people in this industry and getting feedback from them and what they're doing and where they see the industry going. And I can say the proof is here. The evidence is here that, and it's serious evidence, even though it's all a hobby, right? But there's evidence here that the primary, so the manufacturers, the holding companies of the manufacturers, are going to start controlling the pre-owned market, which will do several things, and it will really change the way watches are traded. But what you see is you have Richemont, right? I mentioned them before. They own Panerai and all these other brands. They purchase Watchfinder for a very large sum, of course. You have Real, which is a little bit different, but they've raised over $288 million. So you see a lot of investment capital dumped into pre-owned. Crown and Caliber has raised the high millions. Tourneau was purchased by Bucher for $355 million. They were one of the largest pre-owned dealers in the United States. They traded primary as well, but Tourneau was really known for being a bit of a pioneer in pre-owned, albeit I could say that I've never purchased a watch pre-owned for them for many reasons. But what you see, aside from this, is Richemont. They own the brands, and they want to be in pre-owned. Now, there was a study done by, I think it was McKinsey or Bain, one of those big consulting firms, and they basically said that the pre-owned watch segment doubled in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, maybe 5. So within the last 5 years, the pre-owned watch industry has at least doubled, and I think that's interesting, right? But the way that I think that that's probably happening, so I would probably say that, this, the whole watch community, right? We're all watch collectors. We like talking about it. That's really grown a lot. I've been into watches for about 11 years now. And even in the last 5 years, making watches a hobby has really exploded. The forums, the membership, all these tools out there, Watch Recon, the Facebook groups, the YouTube channels. There are a lot of guys that are into watches, and I think that's interesting. I love it. It's so great to have many people involved in this. It's very diverse, but everyone has the things that they like, right? I like a lot of vintage watches like this. You can't walk in to a boutique and buy a vintage watch or a watch that's been discontinued. You can't do it. I mean, if you're looking for relics, you can't even buy a current generation watch. But you know what I mean, right? If there's a certain model, it's 2 or 3 years old, and it's been, it's not on the shelves, it's not available, they don't make it anymore, you have to buy a pre-owned, and there's no way around that. And when more and more guys get into watches, yeah, they get into pre-owned because that's what's available. Certain pieces you have to buy pre-owned. It just is what it is. And when you see Richemont purchasing Watchfinder and making such a large investment in that, I personally get a little bit scared about that because that starts to scream ultimate monopoly. Now, what I mean by that is, let's paint a picture, right? Let's take Panerai, Richemont, staple example. Panerai sales are going down in the dumps. Pre-owned Panerais can be had at such a great steal of a deal, which I think is a great thing because you get a lot of value, and compared to retail, you're saving a lot of money. Now, imagine you walk into a Panerai boutique and they have pre-owned Panerai and they have new Panerai. We'll say the exact same watch, current generation Panerai. Now, there'll be a retail price for the Panerai, brand new, and then there'll be a pre-owned price for that same Panerai that is maybe 20% less. Now, gone will be the days of 35% discounts from Panerai when the pre-owned watches trade at 20% less than the brand new watches. And how they achieve that, by the way, is by controlling secondary being pre-owned. Now, consider this. Consider you want to sell your Panerai watch, that exact same model we just talked about. What are you going to do? You're either going to find someone that you trust, or you're going to sell it for as much as possible. Now with DelReyWatch.com, we do a very excellent job, and we always strive that every single person trusts us. And here's another fact: most people trust the brands. Maybe not the authorized dealers, but the brands. If you have a Panerai watch, it's very safe to say that most consumers trust the manufacturer with that watch, unless, of course, you're disgruntled, and that happens with watches. But you're going to trust Panerai with that Panerai watch. So if Panerai or Richemont Group, if they were to start purchasing pre-owned watches, perhaps with Watchfinder or using the infrastructure that Watchfinder has created — and by the way, Watchfinder is one of the largest pre-owned dealers which they purchased in Europe, so now they have the infrastructure. Now you want to trade that in, and Watchfinder or Richemont, whatever they want to call their brand, for their pre-owned purchasing, they can offer you they can offer you anything with all of that capital in the brand cash. They could offer you so much as to take a loss just to get that watch in for their pre-owned program, or they can offer you more than anyone else because they're the brand. They had already made profit on that watch, and they can use that watch to sell their other watches at higher premiums. And so if at any given moment there's a whole lot of pre-owned Panerai watches trading and they're all available for sale to whoever the highest bidder is, that brand could comfortably even take losses on it just so long as they controlled all the secondary market. Because consider this: that brand new Panerai that they used to have to sell at 35-40% discount, they no longer will have to if there are no alternatives for the consumer. And what better way to make sure that there are no alternatives to the consumer than to control all of the inventory and raise the prices pre-owned? So you see this model kind of in the auto industry, like a Mercedes. You go buy a certified pre-owned Mercedes from the Mercedes dealership, and it's, I don't know exactly how much less it is, maybe 15-20% less, depending on the mileage, all that stuff that really comes into play in the auto industry. But they could just do the exact same thing in watches, and if they control the infrastructure, they can do it. And if they're the brands, they can do it, because everyone trusts the brands. I don't see a hole in this plan at all. And considering that all of these big-time investors are dumping, $355 million, $288 million, and on and on and on, I think that's validation in the market that some larger, bigger players can see the trends in other industries, and they're willing to jump on board and ride it and see where it goes. And so what does this mean for you, the consumer? I always recommend, whether it's cars, groceries, the pants, the shirt on your back, to shop independent. When you shop independent, there's never any type of bias to where they tell you this is the best, that is the best. Maybe if they were only selling pre-owned Mercedes, of course, Mercedes is the best. But if they're selling a little bit of everything and there's no bias in that regard, that's what you see from independent dealers. Now, even myself personally, when I shop watches, independent. When I shop cars, independent. Private, independent is what I recommend for you, the consumer. We're talking much down the line. What can you do now? I don't know that in recent times you can do a whole lot now besides play it out and see what goes. I think you can also spend a lot of time going onto the forums. You can go onto the forums. You can start developing relationships with other people, other collectors pre-owned, right? Because, if you trade and you're comfortable trading, that would technically be an alternative to that model where the brands control the primary and the secondary, right? You could trade with other watch collectors on the internet, and you would get a little bit more of a value, because not only is there two buys happening, there's two sells happening, right? There's a buy and there's a sell on the trade on both ends, and that's kind of where it happens. So you can get probably better value in the future when you do a trade like that, or just find someone that you know and trust, right? I don't want to plug DelReyWatch.com too much, but I have to say that in the pre-owned watch sector, there are some pretty big players that are getting a little bit shaken up, a little bit shook by these trends. But ultimately, I don't think too many people are looking at it as closely as I am, though it's interesting to think about. It's interesting to talk about, and I want to hear, what do you think about this new world order of watches? Do you think that they can pull this off? If you're from Richemont and you want to reach out to me, my email is there, my Instagram, The Real John P. Message me somewhere and let me know if you're in Richemont and what you think about this, or if you're a watch collector like myself and you're watching this, put in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about my little conspiracy theory, and I just want to see what happens 5 years from now. If I can play this back and either say, wow, I was so wrong, or if I can say, wow, I wish I could have stopped the overlords in the watch industry from taking over. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little bit crazy here. I just watched some Joe Rogan podcast about aliens, and now I'm rambling on. So I'm going to leave you on that high note. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Comments below. Like and subscribe. Instagram, The Real John P. You have been chatting with John P. Ciao.